he keeps Northern California, especially Sacramento, in the radar whenever he comes to.
Jai Hari.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We anticipate that. We'll keep always on Sacramento.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Om Ajnanatimidandhasya Gyananjanashalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Namavistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swabhavikam Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prachayane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pachadadeshatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening.
So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 2, chapter entitled Contents of the Gita summarized, text number 15. Yam hina vyathayante te
Yam hina vyathayante te
Purusham Purusharshabha
Purusham Purusharshabha
Samadukha Sukham Dhiram
Samadukha Sukham Dhiram
Somrittatvaya Kalpate
Somrittatvaya Kalpate
Yam hina vyathayante te
Yam hina vyathayante te
Purusham Purusharshabha
Purusham Purusharshabha
Samadukha Sukham Dhiram
Samadukha Sukham Dhiram
Somrittatvaya Kalpate certainly, na, never, vyathayanti, are distressed, are distressing, ete, all these, purusham, to a person, purusha rishabha, or best among men, sama, unaltered, dukkha, in distress, sukham, and happiness, dhira, patient, saha, he, amritatvaya, for liberation, kalpate, is considered eligible. Translation: O best among men, Arjuna, the person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress, and is steady in both, is certainly eligible for liberation. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada. Anyone who is steady in his determination for the advanced stage of spiritual realization and can equally tolerate the onslaughts of distress and happiness is certainly a person eligible for liberation. In the Varnashram institution, the fourth stage of life, namely the renounced order, sannyas, is a painstaking situation. But one who is serious about making his life perfect surely adopts the sannyas order of life in spite of all difficulties. The difficulties usually arise from having to sever family relationships to give up the connection of wife and children. And if anyone is able to tolerate such difficulties, surely his path to spiritual realization is complete. Similarly, in Arjuna's discharge of duties as a Kshatriya, he is advised to persevere even if it is difficult to fight with his family members or similarly beloved persons. Lord Chaitanya took sannyas at the age of 24, and his dependents, young wife as well as old mother, had no one else to look after them. Yet, for a higher cause, he took sannyas and was steady in the discharge of higher duties. That is the way of achieving liberation from material bondage. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So everyone is happy to be here?
Yes.
Best part of the week.
That is good. So in the second chapter, the delineation between the body and the soul is being established. And unless and until one realizes the difference between the nature of the body and the nature of the soul, it is not easy to have realizations on the spiritual platform. Why is that? Isn't it possible that one can overlook the idea of the nature of the body, or one can overlook the understanding of the qualities of the soul, and still cannot one be spiritual? I think that is one of the popular ideas of today. That to be spiritual, one need not try to understand the existence of the soul. If one can simply understand how
Your phone's mobile
every
data is
person
turned off, so I can't help you with that at the moment.
is good, is honest, is harmless, is non-violent, wouldn't that be considered being spiritual? The direct answer is no. Just because you have a liquid doesn't mean that it is suitable or is capable of quenching our thirst. Liquidity is not the criteria for quenching our thirst, although it is an essential element. There is a particular substance, and by certain arrangement, it is that substance that quenches your thirst. It is called as water. There are many other liquids which have tried to take its place, but they have failed miserably. This is just how it is. If you're thirsty, a lemonade is not going to satisfy you, nor is any other liquid like any fruit juice is not going to satisfy you, not even tomato juice. You may feel that it is satisfactory, but no, it does not. Plain water is what the body craves. That is the physiological need of the body. It's as simple as that. The body needs this chemical in the format H2O. It does not need hydrocarbons like juices, or it does not need lime, milk. It needs H2O. That is how the organs in the body work. And hence, plain water satisfies one's thirst. So are we being too rigid? Are we being too conservative when we say that it is water that quenches a thirst? You're just trying to explain the science of existence. So unless and until one has clarity of what the need is and how it can be fulfilled, there wouldn't be any benefit of having discussions. There's a saying in English that you may be a very good doctor, you may be a very good surgeon, but how beneficial is a surgery if it is good enough but the patient is dead? If the surgery is successful, the patient is dead. I mean, you could not go on Facebook and say, hey, I did my part. I cut open the body, it was a very clean surgery, I did the sutures well. That's a different fact that the patient died. Most of the hospitals do not want to have that kind of track record. Especially the corporate hospitals, they are like Swargaloka. No one dies in those hospitals. There's absolutely no death, no mortality. Very low mortality rate in these corporate hospitals, because as soon as they realize this is done for, they are like, hey, move out. We'll suggest some other hospital for you. In Mumbai, there's a hospital where most of the doctors, they try and follow the principles laid down by Srila Prabhupada. According to the Vaishnava philosophy, the Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy. The reputation that has gone around is that this is the hospital with the highest mortality rate. In fact, many of the other hospitals, they suggest to the relatives of the patients that the best place for a patient to die is at this hospital. They have very good after-death services. So these are such different perspectives. A Vaishnava's perspective is to die in glory, whereas a non-Vaishnava, a materialist, may think that is so gory, dying in glory? Why is death glorious? Shouldn't one be fighting for life? Look at all the posts on Facebook or social media. Other than the Vaishnavas, no one talks about how well they passed away in life. No one does that. Very few people they looked so serene in their coffin. But no one says that the passing away was glorious. But you look at all the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, they are like, there was kirtan, and so many devotees were there, surrounded by all this paraphernalia, with Ganga, the Ganges water on their tongue. I mean, the description of our passing away is much more descriptive than how a person lived. Tulsi, Ganga, Chandan, Kirtan, decorations, garlands. So the perspective is different. Why is it different? Yes.
What were you asking? What were we supposed to answer?
You can always.
They're always doing kirtan all the time. They always have the holy name, so there's not stress and all that on the mind.
That makes it different?
Huge difference.
Alright. So there's a suggestion that we should have kirtan going all the time. Isn't it? That would keep the mind at rest. Otherwise there could be unrest. Maybe at a gift shop we should have that 24-hour kirtan machine. After this, a lot of those machines would get sold out. That's true. There is kirtan going on all the time. The holy names, that's a belief. That is what we believe in. But more important than belief, because when we say I believe, it means there's a finality to it. When I say I believe in God, alright, now what else? Is there something more than that? Isn't that enough? I have faith in such and such thing. Then there's a finality to it. Belief can be translated as Shraddha or Nishtha in Sanskrit. I mean, if there's any other term, please help me out. Shraddha and Nishtha, these two words have a little different perspective than belief. Belief is like the culmination of a process. Yesterday, I was struggling with my belief. Today, I'm firm in my belief. Tomorrow, done, it's over. I'm going to stay with that, right? Shraddha or Nishtha is one of the limbs of the process of bhava or prem. It leads you towards that. It is not an end end in itself. Therefore, in Vaishnava theology, there's not so much emphasis put on belief, although we do respect belief. We do give it a lot of importance, but it is not the sum all and be all of our understanding. Our understanding is our ultimate goal is service. And belief does play a part in that. Because we believe, hence we serve. But service is a contiguous idea. It is a dynamic idea. It is not a static idea. Like for example, let us take any example of service. Let's say serving prasadam. Alright, you serve out prasadam to people who come. So you are going to serve out prasad as long as there are people to receive or till the time prasad lasts. So what is it dependent on? Service is not dependent on the parameters of service. It is dependent on how much quantity is available or how many people are there. If there are n number of people and n quantity of prasad, service would go on eternally. Does that kind of make sense? And when you are rendering service, what do? You inquire. Are there any more people? Is there some more prasad left over for distribution? When one says I believe, one does not inquire anymore. Inquiry stops. Therefore, the process is no longer dynamic, it is static. So belief has to be a limb of another process or activity. Hence, Shraddha is a limb or it is a stepping stone towards Bhava Prem. And so is Nishtha. Why am I trying to be so technical? Technicality is about having clarity. Unless and until there is clarity, sentiments cannot be expressed properly. Let's suppose you are expecting somebody to be visiting your house and this person is important to you. So at every sound that you hear, which is indicative of somebody approaching your door, you're so eager. Maybe they have come. There's eagerness, but there's still a little confusion, doubt. Maybe they have come. So you open the door. Oh, it's not them. Oh, there's no one here. So although sentiments are true, there's no clarity. There are certain factors that are not within your control. Those factors are external. When they arrive, is not within your control. So you're still very expectant. You still have these emotions. Eagerness is still there. Let's suppose that 5 or 6 times you kind of open the door to receive your guests and they do not arrive. What happens?
Disappointment.
Again a sentiment arises which is contrary to what you would want.
Okay.
So what do? You pick up your phone, you ask them, where are you? You want clarity now. As soon as you have clarity, your disappointment either stays where it is, or we've prepared all this prasad, now we have to kind of think what to do with it, or it leaves you. So when there is clarity, sentiments can be properly expressed. Therefore, Krishna, when he is instructing Arjuna, is always instructing him to inquire. It's always about inquiry. What would you want to do now, Arjuna? Why are you in this state of existence? Now that I've explained everything to you, what is your desire? He wants Arjuna always to be active. And to be active, one has to be very receptive in one's hearing. So Shravan or hearing is very important. So in Krishna consciousness, we put stress on belief. At the same time, we put much more stress on hearing. Hearing related to inquiry. So in Krishna consciousness, our principle is not just Shraddha. Our principle is Shraddha related to Shravan or hearing. When we hear properly, then Krishna, as is being expressed in this verse, then we attain a state Amrit Tattvaya. Amrit Tattvaya. You see this word in the verse today? Amrit Tattvaya. How is it being translated in the synonyms? Word for word meaning? For liberation, right? So it's used as a Kriya Pad. Verb. It's the verb form. Amrit Tattvaya Kalpate. One attains liberation. The word liberation in the English language is indicative of freedom. It indicates, it suggests that one was bound, maybe by certain factors, and now one is unbound, one is free. What does the word Amrit Tattva explain? Amrit. Amrit, literal translation in the Sanskrit language from Sanskrit to English would be nectar.
Contents of nectar.
Contents of nectar. That is a literal translation. Amrit technically would mean eternal. Liberation means freedom. Whereas Amrit means eternal. Is there a subtle difference between the understanding that we receive, that we have when we say liberation and when we say eternal? There is. Eternal is to do with everlasting. Liberation is to do with the end of a process. Again, it's as if there's some finality to it. It's done with. I am liberated. Finished. What else do I need to do? And typically in a Krishna conscious lingo, when I say I am liberated, which means I am going to eternally serve Krishna. No, it does not mean you are eternally going to serve Krishna or I am going to eternally serve Krishna. It means I realize that I am going to eternally serve Krishna. Anyone here who has a little difficulty chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra on their beads? Anyone who doesn't have any issues with chanting Hare Krishna while chanting on the beats, please raise up your hands.
They're not honest people then.
They're still trying to
It's a
figure it
vow,
out.
so we have to do it, right? It's a vow.
We are happy with fence sitters also, but that's all right. Anyone who's never, like every day, it's not an issue. There's no issue chanting Hare Krishna on your beats.
No,
Anyone here, please? I mean, personally, even I too find it difficult. It's like by the time I realize that I have to chant, it's over, 16 notes are over, like I have to chant Hare Krishna. It happens sometimes, Like, okay, the bead bag is there, the beads are there, I have fingers, I have a tongue, so this is what I do. Correct? And then after you finish a couple of Maha Mantras, then you realize, oh, I also have to put my heart into it. But where is my heart? I lost it in Vrindavan. I have to go back to Vrindavan and bring it here, in Sacramento. Bring it back. Difficulty in chanting Hare Krishna, correct? Now, this is from Srila Prabhupada's pastimes. Once somebody asked Srila Prabhupada, by chanting Hare Krishna, we will go back to the spiritual world. Prabhupada said, yes. And what will we do there? Prabhupada said, chant more Hare Krishna. Most of us are, we are kind of hoping for liberation, like somehow or the other, because we have understood that by chanting Hare Krishna sincerely and keeping up our vows, at the time of death, when I remember Krishna, along with this body, they will decorate my bead bag around my body and let it stay here. And when I get transported to Krishna's wonderful world, what am I going to do there? Play with the cows? Churn butter? And what if Srila Prabhupada kind of comes there and he'll say, do you remember my pastime there, down there? When I said, when you come to the spiritual world, you have to chant more Hare Krishna. Here are your bead bags. Here are your beads and bead bag. Right now we are finding that difficult to accept. It is a fact. Because we'd rather churn butter for Krishna or play with the cows than pick up our beads and chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So Amrit Tattvaya means it is nectarine, it is nectarian. Technically, it means eternal. You attain the platform of eternality, which also is indicative of no more birth and no more death. Think 2.14. There was a concept of agama, apayina, coming and going. Let us discuss a few technical aspects of this verse. I mean, if you feel that the class is getting too technical, please let me know. I will try and see if I can do something else. Yamhi vathayante te. So this is the conclusion of a certain idea that Krishna had propagated to Arjuna. Because he uses the word he means certainly. So the conversation is going on, and in the conversation Arjuna is like, are you sure? And Krishna is like, certainly. So are you sure about what? So Krishna has introduced a concept about tolerance. The previous verse speaks about being tolerant. Matrasparshasta kante shitosh. Agama apayino nityastam titikshasva. Within all those situations, tam means within all of those situations, titikshasva. Be tolerant. Tolerant about what? About all these emotions that arise every single moment. Within that realm that is so important to us, that realm of I and mine. I like this, I don't like this. This is mine, therefore I could share it with others or I might not share it with others. This is someone else's, I don't care about it. So that world that we live in is very important to us. Like, many of us may not even be interested as to how many other rooms there could be in this commercial complex. Why do we need unnecessary information? That is the practical way of thinking. It's unnecessary information. It also shows our disinterest. When we say unnecessary, it is unnecessary for whom? For you and me. Why? Because this is my world. I have decided to create a well and be the frog in that well. Yes? Kupa Manduka Nyaya. So there is the space that we have created for ourselves, and the space, it's like a matrix, it kind of changes every moment or every single day. Like today, I don't know, I think I ate something not really good yesterday, so I don't feel good today. Oh, somehow I feel so very excited today morning. How? Why? What happened? Did the good old fairy visit you during your sleep? You know about, okay, there were three friends, all of them decent people. Each of them had a particular person that they believed in, they had faith in. And they were all very, they followed some process of spiritual purification. So they were all sadhakas. So this is a joke, alright? So they got some rice, they got some milk, they got some sugar, so they made sweet rice and they decided to keep it overnight. You know, when you keep sweet rice overnight, not in the refrigerator, like at normal temperature, the rice, it absorbs as much sweetness as it can along with the milk. So when you keep it overnight and eat it the next day, you feel the rice also, it kind of tastes of milk and sweetness. It does not taste separately as rice. Because the rice absorbs once it's cooked. That is how rice behaves. Starch. So starch does that. You know, when you add starch, when you apply starch to your clothes, and if your cloth, some liquid falls onto it, it quickly absorbs that. That is the nature of starch. So rice has starch in it. Okay, so that is why people keep, traditionally, rice, sweet rice would be cooked during the day, left overnight or left standing for some time. So they kept it overnight and they said that we'll sleep tonight and tomorrow we wake up and anyone who has the best dream would get the larger portion of sweet rice. So one person wakes up, all the three wake up, and one person says, hey, yesterday, Lord Brahma, he came to me in a dream. And he said, let's travel to Brahmaloka. And you know, the sights there, oh man, that was amazing. And I walked around with Brahma, hand in hand. Wow, that's a far out story. So the next person says, well, to me, Lord Shiva appeared. And Lord Shiva, he decided to dance the dance of devastation. He said, Brahma and everyone that is with Brahma is going to be devastated. But since you are with me, you shall survive. So the other friend said, I saw you being devastated. So that just left me, so I get the sweet rice. The third person said, well, Lord Hanuman, he appeared in my dream. Alright, what happened? He said, eat the sweet rice. I said, but what about my friends? He said, I order you, eat the sweet rice, otherwise you know I am Hanuman. So what did you do? He said, I ate the sweet rice. All of it? He said, yes, look into the vessel, it's all gone. So why didn't you wake us up? He said, I tried to wake you up, but one had gone to Brahmaloka. You're not here. Anyways, dreams. So one fine morning you are very happy, one morning you are like, I don't feel so good. What happened? Who visited us? Was it Brahma, Shiva, Hanumanji, what? Bad fairy? So we live in this world of today I feel happy, today I don't feel happy, today I have this strange headache, today I have this feeling that is kind of keeping me down, today I feel so excited, I'm like super excited. This world that we have created for ourselves, this is the world of I and mine. And having spent so much time in this world, in this virtual reality, it's like we have been caught in that matrix. It's like a maze. We know that it's easy to get out of this maze. It's just that we are still trying to figure out which is the right exit to take. And the reason for that is lack of clarity. How is that we are in such a situation? Krishna says, the previous verse, Matra, and in today's verse it says, Yam hi vyathayante te, ete vathayanti. What is the translation? What is the word for word translation of vathayanti? Distressing or distressing. Are we distressed with the kind of life we are living in that is our own creation? Why can't I be happy always? Situations like, I'm so happy today, I'm so happy today, I'm so happy today. Throughout the day I was just doing this and that and this and that. I feel so tired now. I need to sleep. You're so excited that now, having expended all of your energy, you need to rest. You have to give up that state of being happy. Forced to give up that state of being happy. Cannot continue on in that state of being happy. It's impossible. One cannot stay awake for a long time. And if you're happy, you need to do something. And when you do something, you expend energy. When you expend energy, you get tired. When you get tired, you need to rest. When you rest, stop. existence that up till now was a very happy existence. Or you get bored. And when you get bored, then you get anxious. And in anxiety, you're always searching around. Would this make me happy? Would that make me happy? Would this help me out? Would that help me out? And as soon as you get that, you'll be fortunate if that makes you happy, because then you realize that you have certain other factors to be considered. Like, yeah. Have you heard this kind of a dreamer's idea of a relationship? Like a girl got married to someone, a boy, and she was asked, weren't you in love with someone else? And she said, yeah, I was. Then why did you get married to this person? A dreamer's conception. She replies, when I would be with the other person, I felt so happy loving that person. But when I'm with this person that I've married, I realize that this person makes me feel happy being loved by him. What? Where does that happen? Like tomorrow, the person is going to find Nintendo. Is going to find something else. And so are you. Why is that? Because both you and him, the girl and the boy, they're living in their own world of I and mine. It's like two different sets that kind of have a common subset. So, vyathayante te. Anything that arises of this existence, and what is the existence? Matra sparsha. What is matra? Matra basically means that which allows you to count your blessings, count the things that give you happiness. That is matra. Now, if you use this word matra in your day-to-day communication, then you'll realize matra itna hi. So you understand what is matra? So matra sparshas means that it is sankhya, it is to do with numbers. So that which helps you get numbers is called as matra. So what helps you get numbers? Oh, today I enjoyed eating 4 dosas. Yesterday I loved seeing that movie for 2 hours. Day before yesterday, I loved hearing that music for 1.5 hours, the kirtan. So anything that helps you quantify your happiness, that is called as matra. The senses help you do that. Hence, if you look into the word for word meaning of matra, it would be the senses. So I see. What do you see? Size, shape, color, fantasy. I hear. What do you hear? I hear within a certain range. So it could be high-pitched, low-pitched sound that to me appears to be relaxing, soothing. So everything has to do with Sankhya or quantity, Sankhya. That is called as matra. So this is the senses: eyes, ears, nose, tongue. Sparsha, the senses touch the sense objects, and this is where clarity has to be there. Now you are sitting facing me, I am sitting facing you, and I also have vision of that which is outside the window. So when I look at you, I look at people who are trying to figure out what this person is trying to speak. That is what I kind of see there. Okay, everyone is trying to figure out what is being said here. What do I see? I see you all do that, and then just to keep myself motivated, I also look at the flowers outside there. The flowers are always existing there for you and for me. You cannot see them. I see them. Therefore, my senses have established contact with the flowers. Your senses have not established contact with the flowers. Therefore, your emotions are not related to the existence of the flowers. My emotion is related to the existence of flowers. Therefore, this is my world and that is your world. Now, for you, you don't have to do anything to be tolerant about the existence of the flowers, because in your world they do not exist right now. I have to do something about it because it exists. The flowers there are existing. My eyes have made contact with them. There is a certain acceptance of this connection. Still, I have to focus on keeping a connection with all of you. So here is where I have tolerated the urge of not being distracted by the flowers so that I can focus on this activity. How do I do that? I use my intelligence. I realize if I do my job well here, I get prasad. If I don't get invited the next time. So there is profit to be considered. It's true. If I have to be here for the next program, I better do well with this world, and I don't let you know about the other world that also exists in this world for me. It does not exist for you. And right now, I'm trying to be a yogi who is interested in getting the next invite and prasad. Does that make sense? That is Krishna consciousness. Simply put, there is Krishna. We see Krishna somewhere there. We understand Krishna's existence, and there is this world. Now, being with Krishna is like knowing very well that this relationship is going to give me prasad. And being in this world is like, if I don't do that job well, I don't get an invite the next time. So it's not an abstract idea that Krishna is offering here. And then he says, Vathyantete. It is distressing. I mean, you look at the flowers, there's a certain emotion that you feel for them. And those emotions are not being fulfilled. You know, right there at the back of the brain, in the back of the mind, somewhere on the back burner, I have this idea kind of cooking up. After the program, I go outside and pluck a few of them. So already I have plans for the future, which means I have decided that I'm going to have rebirth. Although I'm speaking about putting an end to birth, I have already planned. After the program, I go outside and I'm going to be born again. A born again Hare Krishna. A born again Hare Krishna like me would be somebody who's had prasad, done with that job, runs outside, no one else is aware of it, gets the flowers too. So that urge has to be stopped. And how would that urge be stopped? I cannot stop the sense. I cannot kind of blur out the image of the flowers. I cannot kind of convince myself that that is all an illusion. I cannot even let my emotions astray by saying, oh, those flowers are meant for Krishna's pleasure, you know. Doesn't in any ways negate the fact my eyes got attracted to the flowers. And when I say my eyes got attracted, my eyes did not seek my permission to get attracted. My eyes simply said, hey, you don't like us, do away with us. But if you want us in your life, this is what we do. We distract you. Another simple equation. Prasadam table. Various different delicacies are there. And there are 2 or 3 dishes which till today you are still trying to decide which amongst them is your best delicacy. You're like, I like all of them. 3 different preparations. It's right there on the table. Which one are you going to eat the last so that you have the lingering taste in your mouth? You know the struggle that one goes through? Just because there is rasgulla, there is sandesh and there is chamcham. Now you eat the rasgulla, then I lose the taste of the chamcham and the sandesh because I ate them first. If I eat sandesh the last, then I lose it. I don't want to lose any of those tastes. Why? Because I love all of the tastes. And my tongue says, hello, that's me. The eyes see those preparations, but the tongue says, tasty. Then what do? You realize the last time you had all 3 of them, your stomach did not behave well. So you tell the tongue, dear tongue, you must be austere in Krishna consciousness. So tolerant. So when we speak of tolerance, there is a huge possibility that our tolerance is simply a negation of our attraction just because we are no longer able to digest the attraction. We are no longer able to handle the attraction. So that is called as tyag in relationship to bhoga, the pendulum. So tolerance should not be like that. It should not be like, this month, this year, I'm not going to eat these sweets. But God forbid if someone stops me after that. It takes years and years of doing Ekadashi properly to be able to do Paran on Dwadashi without being distressed. Because the world around and the world that we have created in which we exist convinces us we have fasted an entire day. Can you imagine an entire day of fast? It feels as if both the lungs, 2 kidneys, the long intestine, the small intestine, the stomach, the liver, everyone is crying out, give us food. So Krishna says, yam hi vyathayante te, but he uses the word na. Na means not. So one who is not distressed by these situations which are distressing, one who is not affected by these distressing events in life. And how is that possible? Well, it's easy for Krishna to say that because he is God, He's like, alright, Today I'm going to lift up the Govardhan Hill for all of you because I love you so much. Everyone comes under the Govardhan Hill and I save all of you. And like a few years later on, he's like, today I'm going to leave all of you. And I'm going to go away from Vrindavan and you have to stay right here and you cannot come and visit me. And I will not come and visit you. That is Krishna. He's God. He knows. Whether I stay, whether I go away, I'm always with everyone and everyone is with me. But we are parts and parcels of Krishna. Can we claim that? In this situation, it seems to be difficult. In the present situation, it seems to be difficult. What is the difficulty? Our senses never ask our permission. That is the difficulty. Our senses never do that. The only thing that helps us stay a little conservative is the fear of being liberal. Or if I'm too liberal, I'll miss the boat. Hence, let me be conservative. Therefore, let me be very strict, let me be very focused. Otherwise, I'll get rebirth. And then we kind of chant Lord Chaitanya's Sikshashtakam prayers. Mama Janmani, Janmani, Ishware. And we are like, it's another dreamer's idea. A birth after birth, my dear Lord. Really? Do you think we are really wanting that right now? Like another birth where every morning you have to get up and chant 16 rounds of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra? So here we are in this is a doldrum, this existence. Today, Shankaran Prabhu and we were talking and it's like, you really realize it's a hard struggle for existence. Not just in the outside world, but in the world which you called as Krishna conscious world. It's a hard struggle for existence. The senses don't listen to us, nor do the sense objects. The sense objects also don't listen to us. There's so many ways. We were having certain discussions, personality types. I mean, yes, but do the sense objects listen to us? Hey, person A, you are this personality type. Hence, you're behaving like this. Beware. And the person says, I don't care. So it is you who have to deal with it. You have to deal with the sense objects. So one has to deal with one's senses, one has to deal with the sense objects. Neither gives way. Neither is on our side. The senses are not kind of always displaying, that they don't have a placard. We are Krishna's property, don't touch us. No, they're not doing that. Everywhere the sense objects everywhere kind of are alluring us. You see a good pavement, you're like, I don't want to walk on the grass anymore. I want to walk on this pavement. You see a good lawn, you're like, I want to run on this. Spring comes in, you're like, oh, spring colors. Winter comes in, you're like, oh, it's so miserable. Again, the winter has come. We have absolutely no control about how things are happening around us. These are all the sense objects, and the senses are going to interact with them. As soon as we see a dark day, the eyes see a dark day, and the message is sent to us, to our consciousness is dull. How does one express tolerance in this situation? Knowledge is the only way we can do it. Prabhupada gave this example in one of his lectures. He said, if you hear something hit a car outside in the parking lot, you are concerned if you have a car. Even if you don't have a car, in India everyone's concerned, like, whose car was it? Let's find out whose misery it is. Like a stone hits a car. You run outside. The first concern is it my car? Insurance, dent. How would it be? And as soon as you see it's not your car, relief, moksha, liberation. That is the moment where you feel completely free of all desires for sense gratification. Not my car. And then you look around, whose car was it? Oh, it's your car. So sorry. I mean, you don't really feel sorry. But it's good to express that, you know. Must be very painful for you, right? Don't worry. You have insurance, isn't it? It'll take care of it. In India, we call it free fund advice. Don't ask me for advice there. It's okay. So Prabhupada says, as soon as you understand there's no connection with the object, you feel detached from the situation. Immediately you feel detached from the situation. Such a person is called a dhira. Dha dhatu means a person. Dha, whenever the dha dhatu is used, it is used to express something very rigid. It is used to express that which is unchangeable. So dhira. Ra indicates rati or attraction. A dhira is somebody who's not moved by any distraction. A dhira is a person who's so fixed, who's so stable that nothing can distract that person. So that is a dhira. So what does a dhira have to be able to be called a dhira? Knowledge, clarity. In this room, there are many children. And there are many parents. Every parent's heart is with them and also with their child. If something happens to a child, the first instinct of every parent would be, where's my child? It's very instinctive. That is what keeps children protected. That's nature's way of having this protective shield. The parent is the protective shield for the child. At the same time, this emotion also hurts one, is an obstacle to one, if one is trying to be detached from the material realm. So what does one do? At one point of time, one says, now you have your own children, you deal with those emotions that we have dealt with. What do? We have dealt with those emotions, we have had our realizations. That is why Srila Prabhupada speaks about the fourth stage of life in the human form. We have dealt with those emotions. Now you deal with them. It's your time. What is our time now? Our time is to be detached from all those emotions. That protective shield is no longer needed. The protective shield for a child is its parent. The immediate protective shield. It's there in Mother Nature too. Any species of life, the mother is responsible, takes responsibility for protecting its offspring, its baby. In human society, we find an extension of that. We take it as a collective responsibility. Still, it is parent for the child. Since when did it become grandparent for the grandchild? Since past 2 centuries, I guess. And so now, even as a grandparent, my grandchild needs protection. So when does one understand that it is it is helpful for the child, and at the same time it can also be an obstacle for one to be detached in life. So the fourth stage of life. Hence knowledge helps us realize we no longer are needed. We no longer are as important on this planet. We've done our part. It's not that if we are gone, the planet is going to miss us. There was a time when the planet needed us because we had children. The children needed protection. Now they are grown up. They have their own responsibilities. It is not the same situation for us anymore. Do not give oneself the same kind of importance and position in life. I am needed in this world just as I was needed 25 years ago. No, you are not needed in that way. Now, the world needs you to quit in a very decent manner. And if you don't quit, one will be forced to quit. And that is not going to be, if one is not prepared for that, it is not going to be a happy ending. So clarity comes through knowledge. And now, then we come to what the second chapter is saying. Where is this knowledge coming from? The senses and the sense objects are not going to stop existing. And they are going to provide constant sources of distraction for us. We are not the senses, we are not the sense objects because we don't come and go. Therefore Krishna is explaining the previous verse, that which comes and that which goes. Simply tolerate it. Tolerate it just as if you are in the ocean, the waves come and go. You don't hold on to the waves. Oh, this is my wave. This is my wave. This wave touched me. This wave was at my lotus feet. This wave is surrendered unto me. Let me hold on to it. No. You try and hold on to it. There are people who feel that they have lashed onto their waves, but that is just their illusion. So there are two examples that help us understand how we should not be too much infatuated with our existence as the body. Sometimes there's a lot of infatuation with our existence as the body. How dare you touch me? Somebody asked me, I was on a local train, in Mumbai. Do you know what is a local train in Mumbai? It's like this commuter train that is sincerely packed, overpacked. Like the space is just for 68 people, but the rough average at peak time could be 268 people. And still everyone kind of hangs in and hangs out of the train. So you feel people kind of, their different limbs nudging into you. And you cannot be angry with them about it. You cannot ask someone that, carry deodorants with you or things like that. So my elbow kind of hit somebody in their ribs. The train was moving, the coach was moving, so my elbow kind of nudged into someone's ribs. Don't touch me! I'm like, I am not. I'm not this body, I am soul. You are not your body, you are spirit soul. The soul is never touched, nor can anyone touch the soul. Well, he really wanted to throw me out of the train. It's like the last thing that a person wants to hear is philosophy when someone feels invaded. When somebody feels that someone has invaded a private space, they don't want to hear philosophy. No. Yes. He's like, oh, I'm like, kuch nahi hone wala. Dono dabe hue train. We are kind of caught in this situation. There's a dozen people around you. What can you do? Just relax. Just this only philosophy is going to help us. I'm not this body. I'm spirit soul. You get compressed from all sides and you realize, I'm not this body. I'm spirit soul. The body gets compressed, the body will die, the soul eternally exists, survive. So, if birth is so important, happy birthday to, let us question this. What is so great about birth? What happened at birth? Like everyone, when is your birthday? Ah, that is the day you appeared. What? From where? From where did I appear? Like you're born, And if you believe Darwin, then we were born like from chemicals, I guess. The theory of evolution. Our mother, she kind of went into this laboratory and she kind of used her own body as an apparatus and she did some chemical reaction and boom! February the 29th, 2020, born. Hey, happy birthday. Where did my existence come from? Here. Where here? The hospital? The body? Is that where my existence came from? How is it possible? When an embryo grows, where does it grow? Anything that grows in the body other than the embryo, most of them are considered to be unhealthy. Your body is not supposed to grow in that way, it's supposed to grow differently. So except the embryo growing in a woman's body, most of the other growths raises the red flag. How did that grow? Where did the cells come from? How is the transformation taking place? Is this existence from now? Did it come from something that existed or did it begin existence right now? If it came from somewhere, some other existence, what is that existence? One cannot know. So should we kind of just accept the fact that it came from that which is not existing? That doesn't make sense. Why? Because you cannot have existence from non-existence. A simple example. Can I have blue from not blue? I can make blue not blue. I add yellow to blue, it becomes green. But can I have blue from not blue? So I have not blue. There's no blue. And now I get blue out of it. That is not how it works. So existence can never come from not existing. Non-existence can come from existence. This is simple logic. Hence, birth, if it is from non-existence, then it is the wrong logic. If it is from existence, then which existence does it come from? Is it coming from the body of the mother? Then why does the process only last 9 months, 10 months? Why doesn't it last 90 years? How is that? What makes it work like that? Alright, does all of that growth always lead to existing life? Some of them lose their existence. So how is it that some of the embryos die? What dies? How does it die? So where is the existence coming from? This is the logic used by the Sankhyites to prove that the soul does not come from a non-entity. Why? Once we understand that the soul it is like on a journey, birth loses its significance as we know of it now. And as soon as birth loses that significance, a lot of things disappear. one of the things is being enamored by it. Like my grandmother, I asked her when was you born? She's like, oh, during one of those days when the sun was, the moon was dark. I'm like, what? For her, that is birth. I told her, my grandmother, when I was little, I said, Grandma, we are celebrating my birthday. She's like, oh, that is very nice, very nice. And then I said, Grandma, let us celebrate your birthday. When was it? She's like, I don't know, no one ever did that. And I'm like, how did you exist? You never had a birthday celebrated? How did you exist? And she's like, well, this is how I existed. I lived my entire life. So there is a world where certain parameters were not there and people existed. Now we are a world where other parameters have been brought in, and those parameters are creations of this distracting relationship between the senses and sense objects. I'm not saying that you should not celebrate birthdays. Sankhya, knowledge, clarity, if one wants detachment, then one has to understand how one should not be enamored by beginnings. And similarly, one should not be enamored by endings. Every year, disappearance day. I mean, sometimes we do it for the great acharyas, there's a different motive for that. But the excitement that is there about, and that is, from there we come with this idea of green day, blue day, tie day, my pet dog day, pet donkey day, pet monkey day. I'm not trying to be like super smart here, but these are the ideas that come up. Then it has to be paneer day, pizza day, picnic day, non-picnic day. One is thinking of how should one be excited in life. Whereas the greatest excitement is self-realization. And that is where Krishna is saying, Dhira. Sama dukkha sukham dhira. No one remembered my birthday today. That crying smiley. Or the red smiley like, Or the happy smiley. Oh, everyone, I got like 51 people saying happy birthday today. I'm so popular. So sama, sukha, dukha, dhira. Oh, 50 people. But I got to read Hare Krishna. These two words, I read them 100 times. Now that is a different perspective. So sama, sukha, dukkha, dhira. A dhira is able to do that. So amrit tattvaya. After that, the flowers, people's wishes, they are not wishing us, people acknowledging our existence or walking through us as if we do not exist, would not trouble us as much. Why? Because at one point of time, we come to the realization our non-existence on this planet is not going to hurt anybody. It is not going to hurt anyone. Hence, let us give the importance to our existence here as much as is needed. And how much is that? To the extent where we can sincerely chant Krishna's holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
Any comments? Oh, thank you.
I really like the example that you explained about the waves, that we cannot hold the waves. It really made sense to me.
Thank you. Martina? Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Grantaraj Bhagavad Gita ki jai.